This is 5 on your side at 6. Focused on you.
First tonight, don't forget to grab your umbrella right now. Heavy rain and thunder are moving through parts of the region. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kelly Jackson, and All Red is off tonight.
And I'm Mike Bush. Let's check right in with Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell. These are not severe storms, are they, Scott?
No, they're not. But they have been producing wind gusts in that 40-mile-per-hour range, 35 to 40 miles per hour. And yes, some downpours and some cloud-to-ground lightning lifting through the metro area and now sliding onto the north side of the metro at this point. Out into St. Charles, you had some of that downpour. Now that's heading up Highway 94. You also have some pushing here around the Chain of Rocks Bridge. So North County, you've had some downpours. St. Anne at the airport pouring a few minutes ago, but now we're starting to see that ease just a little bit. The heaviest rain, again, lifting just north of downtown St. Charles. This shower that's been over here to the east of St. Louis kind of been fading a little bit as it tries to push towards Roxana, but you will still see some raindrops there. And once this slides on through, things tend to settle down a little bit. And we also see our temperatures drop off in the rain-cooled air down to 77 degrees in St. Louis. There's Lambert right now. Planes still coming and going, but maybe a few slight delays while the lightning was in the vicinity. As far as what we're expecting here for the rest of the evening, guess what? We still have a chance for a few more isolated showers and storms, but most of that lifting to the north of St. Louis. The few downpours that are out there will tend to fade, and low severe weather chances even into tomorrow with the next round that's possible. We'll see in a few minutes. We'll track that, Kelly.
All right, Scotty, you can get the Weather First forecast anytime online. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355 and we will send you a link.
We are coming off a particularly violent weekend in St. Louis. 10 separate shootings since Friday have left 3 dead and 14 others hurt. Police also recovered 36 guns. We have 2 reports tonight. Let's begin with Justina Coronel. She joins us live from downtown St. Louis. Justina.
Well, one advocacy group here in downtown St. Louis is upset about those crimes and even sent a news release last night expressing their concerns. And earlier today, we also heard from St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy.
If downtown is to be successful, we've got to attract residents. And you can't attract residents if we have the headlines we've been having for the last few years.
Fixated on fixing the problems. Downtown resident Les Sturman wants to improve his neighborhood after living here for 19 years.
It gives me no pleasure to be on TV complaining about all these problems. We want to solve them because, we live here and we want to stay here.
In this news release, a downtown advocacy group expressed their distress about the recent violence. Citizens for a Greater Downtown tallied the crime since Memorial Day weekend.
We've had multiple shootings, at least 3 deaths, maybe more, and at least 10 injuries from gunshots. Unfortunately, the typical response is to call another press conference.
Monday afternoon, St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy held a news conference to talk about the crime.
Patrols have increased across the city, including downtown, with the department's authorized overtime, and there's competitive secondary shifts for our officers throughout the city.
Chief Tracy said crime is down, along with their staffing levels.
1220 I would love to be at, but we're at 908. That's including the trainees that are in the academy.
Tracy explained there is a public safety strategy in place.
We do have a good plan in place. We are down officers throughout the city. So I fairly distribute police officers throughout the city because I can't just put them in one place.
He acknowledges, though, there is a long road ahead.
There is progress. So I think that's being left out of that. And crime is down, but we have a long way to go. I'm with them. I'm not denying that.
Chief Tracy also sent this message and said they will not tolerate these crimes. Now, if you happen to have any information on these shootings, you can contact Crime Stoppers. The number is 866-371-TIPS. Reporting live, Justina Coronel. 5 on your side.
The violent weekend in St. Louis continued Sunday when 6 people were shot near a bar in North St. Louis. 5 on your side's Holden Krawicki spent the day looking into the incident. He continues our team coverage with what local leaders are saying.
Well, Kelly, I caught up with multiple members of the Board of Aldermen today, and they're just as frustrated as the people that are affected by these crimes. However, there's now growing belief that this isn't something city leaders can truly change without your help.
The Playground Bar near Fairground Park is open today, but according to St. Louis Police Chief Robert Tracy, it may not remain that way for long.
St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department is working with problem properties and other stakeholders to address issues at this establishment.
Sunday night, the city's latest mass shooting happened just outside this bar.
6 people were shot. There was more than 100 shell casings.
In 2024, SLMPD has been called to the bar 19 times with 8 shot spotter activations, including the latest case, where investigators aren't sure if the victims are also suspects.
Now, of the 6 victims shot, 2 were convicted felons and 2 are documented gang members. Knowing people with the highest propensity for violence, carrying guns, known to each other, is sometimes a recipe for disaster.
We're constantly having to figure out how do we combat gun violence in our community.
Alderman Rasheen Aldridge admits he's tired of the violence, not only in his ward, but across the city of St. Louis.
There's no easy answer. It does become a little depressing at times.
While Aldridge says he prefers what he calls a holistic approach to fighting crime.
This morning I just thought to myself, what can we do more? Because we're trying, I know from City Hall we're trying to do everything possible, but what are we missing? How do we get our most young people, our most vulnerable people who feel hopeless to have hope again?
For Chief Tracy, the answer is simple.
Too many guns are in the hands of people that are going to use them in incidents like this.
I think this is bigger than policy. I think this is communities coming together and saying, hey, enough is enough.
As police continued their investigation into the shooting near Playground Bar and try to determine who the suspect or suspects are in this situation, it's believed that all 6 shooting victims will survive their injuries. Kelly?
Holden, thanks. A funeral today in Festus for a 9-year-old girl killed last week in St. Francis County. Scarlett Parmalee and her 2-year-old brother Isaac were both found dead in Jefferson County. Isaac's funeral is set for tomorrow. Their mother is charged with their murders.
Millions of Americans could see their student loan debts forgiven soon unless President Biden's new plan is struck down again in court. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, was in federal court in downtown St. Louis today, where Missouri government lawyers tried to block the president's plan, Mark.
Kelly, call it President Biden's Plan B. When the Supreme Court struck down his first pass at mass student loan debt forgiveness, the White House went back to the drawing board. This time, Biden would expand a different portion of federal law. Biden administration lawyers argued in court this morning that the Department of Education has held an unbroken bipartisan interpretation of the presidential powers to collect student loan debt based on a borrower's income. That's the power that Biden seeks to expand here. Missouri government lawyers conceded that, quote, free money is appealing, but they said if you borrowed that money, you must repay it. They also said this would benefit Ivy League grads at fancy New York law firms. Solicitor General Josh Devine also argued forgiving student loans for private sector workers would neutralize or negate a similar tuition benefit for workers who choose a career in public service.
That's a huge benefit to the Attorney General's office, to any government employer, to nonprofit employers, not 501c3 media companies, for example. It's just a huge benefit. And what this rule is doing is erasing the comparative advantage of that benefit. There's just no reason to do public service loan forgiveness if all your loans are going to be forgiven anyway.
Devine argued if the president really thought this idea was so popular, he'd pass it through Congress. But Biden seems to relish these politics at play in a dynamic where Republicans are repeatedly attacking something that polls very well among younger voters and voters of color especially.
Mark, thanks. Coming up, demonstrators gather outside a St. Charles County Library, what they're trying to stop from happening.
Plus, the rare flower about to raise a stink at the Missouri Botanical Garden.